So if you're trying to land a design job right now, you know that portfolio is just everything. It feels like the highest stakes thing you'll ever create.
Oh, absolutely. It's basically the gatekeeper to the interview room, isn't it? Everyone asks, okay, how do I actually make mine stand out? How do I show them what they really need?
Exactly. And that's why tapping into what the community already knows, what experts are saying, is just so valuable. It's a shortcut, really.
Yeah, we've basically done, weeks of legwork for you here. Today, we're diving deep into this kind of ultimate cheat sheet, packed with advice straight from industry leaders, people who are actually doing the hiring.
Right. And our mission today is to synthesize all the key knowledge from that recent, totally sold out SDN Finland Portfolio Night.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
Held late September, right, at the Turku Health Hub premises in Malati, Helsinki.
Yeah, organized by Lena Juslenius and Suvi Laapalainen, and they had industry experts taking some really tough questions from the Finnish design community. It was quite the event.
And the best part, this whole deep dive came from a listener request, which honestly often tells you exactly where people are feeling the pinch.
For sure. So we've got the event scripts, the program, and crucially, those pre-collected audience questions they gathered beforehand with an online survey.
Which means we know what people were struggling with before the event even started. So we can jump straight into the answers the industry pros gave.
Okay, perfect. Let's unpack this thing, starting right at the beginning. The night kicked off with Elisa Sarkkinen, who's the chairman of SDN Finland, and she framed the whole idea of a portfolio really nicely, I thought.
She really did.
Yeah.
She emphasized it's not just like a pile of your work. It's about showing what makes you, your whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned her own background, economics and MBA, which immediately made the point that service design draws from everywhere. It's all about connecting different skills.
That context is super important too, because SDN, the Service Design Network, it's this huge global thing, right? Like 48 chapters worldwide.
Yeah, and the Finnish chapter's been around since 2012. So this event wasn't just for one type of person. It was for grads, students, people changing careers, even experienced designers needing a fresh look.
A broad audience. And that pre-event survey you mentioned, that was gold dust, wasn't it? It really highlighted the biggest hurdles people face.
It did. Number one challenge, simply not having enough projects. That panic of looking at a blank portfolio page.
Oh, I know that feeling, especially if you're just starting out or switching fields. That's a huge blocker. And what was the second one?
Well, it follows logically, really. It was about showing your specific role and your impact, particularly when you've worked in a group. How do you carve out your contribution?
Right, untangling the we did from the I did. Okay, so those two challenges really set the scene for the first panel, which was titled Building the Bulletproof Portfolio.
And the lineup for that was seriously impressive. You had Yonatan Kelib from Fortum, Hanna Luotola from IF Insurance, Tarja Chydenius from Laurea University. She's also an SDN Finland co-founder, and Emma Laiho, a service and business designer.
Quite the panel. So what was the foundational advice? Like, where do you even begin platform choices?
Okay, so the big consensus was
Yeah.
start documenting everything.
Yeah.
Right from project one, don't wait.
Don't wait for perfection.
Exactly. And Tarja Chydenius really stressed platform flexibility. Use what works for you, but, and this is key, make sure you can easily export it as a PDF.
Ah, the PDF. Still king.
Apparently so, yeah. Lots of big companies, their recruiters, still rely heavily on PDFs for the first pass. So if you've only got some fancy web tool, you might actually get screened out.
That's a really practical tip. What else?
Yonatan Kelib added something important for early career designers. He said an online presence is basically non-negotiable now.
You need that public profile.
Yeah, even if you password protect certain confidential projects later on, that public site is where you establish your brand, your approach, your design personality.
Okay, makes sense. So once you've got the platform sorted, what about the content itself? How much detail? They talked about something called text blindness, right?
Yeah, text blindness. Basically, recruiters are swamped. The advice was loud and clear. Shorter and more concise is always better.
So ditch the massive academic-style case studies.
Pretty much. You make them wade through dense blocks of text, you'll lose them fast. You need to highlight the crucial bits. What problem did you solve? What's your personality like? And, most critically, what was the impact?
It's impact, right. And Hanna Luotola had that great, slightly sobering example.
Oh, the Excel sheet, yes. She said sometimes after a huge project, the tangible outcome might just be an Excel sheet full of data.
Which doesn't sound very glamorous for a portfolio.
Exactly. But her point was brilliant.
Oh.
The artifact itself, the Excel sheet, isn't the star. It's the story around it. The narrative about the system you improved or the user benefit or the bottom line impact. That's the portfolio piece.
Okay, that's a great way to think about it. But telling that concise story while still showing enough depth, that sounds tricky. Tarja Chydenius mentioned a layered structure. Isn't that like double the work?
It's definitely more work up front, yeah. But it's smart because it respects the recruiter's time. Think of it like applying design thinking to the portfolio itself.
How so?
Well, layer one is the quick scan. Visually engaging summary, key outcomes, your role, bang, bang, bang. Layer two, maybe accessible with a click or further down the page, has all the deep dive stuff, the methodology, the research, the nitty-gritty process.
So the interested reviewer can go deeper, but the busy one gets the gist quickly.
Precisely. It tackles that text blindness problem head on.
Clever. Okay, let's loop back to that first big challenge. Not enough projects. What was the advice for students or people without much client work?
Yonatan Kelib had some great advice here. He basically said, don't wait for permission. Create your own projects, self-initiated ones.
Like what?
Find a real-world problem you see, maybe with an airline's booking system or your local supermarket's checkout process. Tackle it like a real client project. It shows initiative, problem-solving, your methodology.
That's empowering. And what about that second challenge, showing your contribution in group work?
Transparency. That was the key word. Be super clear and honest about what you specifically were responsible for. What were your individual contributions? Don't just say, we did this.
So spell it out. I led the user interviews. I built the lo-fi prototype.
Exactly that. No hiding behind the we. But maybe the most surprising insight, the real aha moment, came when they talked about failure.
Oh, talking about things going wrong in a portfolio, that seems counterintuitive.
Right. But the panel universally agreed. A portfolio that openly discusses what went wrong and, crucially, what you learned from it is incredibly valuable.
I can actually see that. It shows you can think critically, you're self-aware, you've got a growth mindset, maybe more valuable than 5 perfect projects.
Totally. And for career changers, the advice was also really practical. They talked about deconstructing your past jobs into design atoms.
Design atoms?
Yeah, like if you worked in customer service, you weren't just answering calls. You were doing stakeholder management, client engagement, practicing empathy, all core design skills.
Sure.
It's about translating that experience.
That is practical gold.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. There was a segment focusing on the public sector, right? With Sirpa Fourastie.
Yes, from the Finnish digital agency, the Digia Virasto. That was really valuable because hiring in the public sector, it turns out, is often quite different.
How so?
Well, often service design roles aren't direct hires. They come through these big multi-year procurements, usually via consultancies. So how you frame your experience has to align with that context.
Interesting. And Sirpa Fourastie echoed that point about focusing on the client's success, didn't she?
She did. In the public sector, the client is often the public itself. So the focus needs to be on citizen value, on solving those big systemic problems, not just on making the designer look like a hero.
Makes sense. Did she have anything encouraging for junior designers?
Actually, yes. She stressed that juniors are really valued for bringing in fresh perspectives, new ideas, especially now when budgets might be tight.
But there's a catch, I bet. Yeah. The caveat is you have to be able to show tangible impact. The public sector needs to see results to justify the spend. So even as a junior, demonstrating impact is key.
And connecting back to that growth mindset idea.
She emphasized self-awareness. Your portfolio needs to state the project length, your exact role, and this is important, be honest about what you don't know. Saying you need support isn't weakness, it's maturity.
That honesty probably helps them build the right teams for those big government projects, too.
Definitely streamlines things. Okay, so that brings us to panel 2, which shifted focus to actually getting the job from portfolio to job search. Suvi Lapalainen interviewed this panel.
And they kicked off with job titles, right? Because finding a role explicitly called service designer can be tricky sometimes.
So tricky. The panel's advice was, be flexible. Your service design skill set, that systems thinking, it applies way beyond that one title.
So look for things like
Process developer, business developer, experienced design manager, roles in marketing, IT. The list goes on. You're looking for a problem your skills can solve, not just a specific label.
Tarja Chydenius really hammered this home, didn't she? Read the job description. Understand the core problem the organization is trying to fix. If it involves improving processes or understanding customer journeys to drive outcomes, your skills fit whatever the title.
Absolutely. And that led naturally into networking, and this is where we got that, frankly, shocking statistic.
Oh yeah, the 70% figure.
70%. Up to 70% of jobs in Finland are apparently never publicly listed.
Wow. That just fundamentally changes how you have to approach the job search, doesn't it? Networking isn't just a nice to have, it's critical.
It's essential. It means the only way into the majority of opportunities is through people, through connections.
And where do platforms like LinkedIn fit in?
Central role. Hanna Luotola mentioned that at IF Insurance, something like 95% of their applications come via LinkedIn. 95%.
Okay, so the takeaway isn't just have a LinkedIn profile.
No way. The actionable advice was, be bold, be proactive. Don't just sit there updating it. Reach out to people. Ask for a portfolio review. Ask for mentorship. Just ask for a virtual coffee chat. Build those connections before you even see a job posting.
It turns job searching from passive applying into active relationship building.
Exactly. It's about acquiring knowledge and building your network constantly.
Okay, now for the topic everyone's talking about, AI. What did the panel say about its role for designers?
It was pretty unanimous, actually. Embrace AI, but embrace it as a powerful assistant, a sparring partner.
How so?
Use it for the mundane stuff. Refining text, summarizing meeting notes, sense-checking your initial ideas. It never gets tired of your, stupid questions. It frees up your time for the deeper thinking.
But there was a warning too, wasn't there? From Yonatan Kelib.
A crucial one. Don't let AI overpower your human creativity. If you use it to just, write your whole application or generate bland, generic designs, you lose what makes you valuable, your unique ingenuity, your craft.
So it's not about becoming an AI expert.
No, it's about understanding how AI is being used in different fields. They highlighted areas like legal design and the health sector as places where understanding AI's application will be really important for designers going forward.
Got it. Okay, final big question they tackled, UI/UX skills. Does a service designer need to be a master of those two?
The consensus was clear. Know the basics. You need to understand usability principles, heuristics, how to do low-fidelity wireframes, the common tools.
But not necessarily to do it all yourself.
Exactly. It's primarily for collaboration.
Yeah.
You need to speak the same language as the UI/UX specialists you'll inevitably work with.
And Elisa Sarkinen chimed in from the audience with a good point here, didn't she?
Yes, the red flag warning. If you see a job ad demanding one person be a master of service design and UX and UI, that classic unicorn role, be wary.
Why is that?
It probably signals that the organization doesn't really understand the depth required for each discipline. You'll likely end up stretched way too thin, unable to do any of it well. Know your value, know your boundaries.
Sound advice. Okay, so I think we really achieved our mission here. We've pulled out some incredibly specific, actionable stuff, everything from why you should document your failures to why 70% of your job search might depend on networking.
Yeah, and the feedback on the event itself for the organizers Suvi Lapalinen and Lena Gislenius and the whole setup was really positive. It just shows how much the community needs and values this kind of practical shared learning. Hopefully we'll see more events like it.
Absolutely. It proves the service design community really thrives on this stuff, practical advice straight from the source.
Definitely. It's all about sharing what works.
So as we wrap up, let's just build on that AI discussion for a final thought. We heard that core design skills, empathy, systems thinking, ethical considerations, they're becoming more valuable as AI takes over some of the artifact creation.
Interesting point.
So the provocative question for you, the listener, is this. How will you use your next project, maybe even a self-initiated one, to tackle a really deep, fundamentally human problem? One that needs systematic service design, not just the slick interface. What's the biggest societal challenge you're going to dig into next? Something to think about.